All right, politically homeless. It's me, Dave, trying to find a political home. A lot of people think that I have a home, and I'm just lying. I mean, all the things that I hear about. You're not politically homeless. All right, well, I'm currently not a Republican or a Democrat. For most of my life, I have been in a political party, but I am no longer in either one of the two major political parties. So yeah, still politically homeless. All right, this caught my attention, and then I realized how many people have died in Ukraine. Okay, we're supposed to be helping Ukraine. We're sending money to Ukraine, right? Where Congress keeps authorizing billions of dollars to go to Ukraine. All right, and the Israel thing, very separate, very divisive. If I see the word Zionist again, I think my head's going to explode. But we'll just leave that until maybe another video. So Ukraine is actually forcing troops, their own troops, to keep fighting. And then when I get to the end of this, you're going to find out how many troops they've lost. This is news you won't hear in American media. And the reason is if you were investing billions of dollars in a war that was failing this much, I think you would question your congressperson. And by the way, you should. I don't care if they're a Democrat or Republican. I don't care. Just say, hey, I understand that we have to fight this war. You just go along with their premise, okay? Just go. I know you think this is going to keep us safe here at home, or whatever the rationale. I know that you think that America is still a leader on the world stage. And there isn't any kind of multipolar order, going on, and America is still the world's lone superpower. Try to say it with a straight face, though, when you say it, because the men and women in Congress say, we're the best America. America. So lawmakers in Kiev, some people say Kiev, I say Kiev, rejected a provision that would allow conscripts serving for 3 years to return home. So a conscript is like a soldier. It's a fancy word. The Ukrainian parliament has voted against demobilizing the country's longest serving conscripts, forcing them to stay on the front line indefinitely. Oh, what a morale booster. The vote came as lawmakers passed a broad mobilization bill imposing new restrictions on draft dodgers and potentially drafting the handicapped. Are you hearing this? Okay, I did get a little tired of some of this coverage. Hence, this is why Scott Ritter hasn't been on this channel. He probably wouldn't come back. He's made new friends, and his friends are more popular, way more popular than me. But I mean, if he wanted to come on, I'd have him on again because he would certainly bang on his table and be very articulate about all of these things. So they're thinking about drafting the handicapped in Ukraine. How's that multi-billion-dollar investment going? The legislature voted on Thursday to pass a long-awaited bill aimed at replenishing the country's beleaguered armed forces. Oh, they're going to pass a bill in Ukraine. They don't pass any bills here. The bill was, well, they do, actually. I'm sorry. They don't pass any bills that do any good for anyone, but they will eventually pass another bill to authorize more money. The bill was expected to include a passage allowing troops who have served for 36 months to be demobilized. But a last-minute amendment removed this passage, effectively compelling these troops to keep fighting right through February of 2025. The amendment passed 227 to 21, with 97 lawmakers abstaining, according to the Kiev Post. It was the first seen in a final version of the bill published on Wednesday, and its inclusion angered service members who had been expecting some reprieve from combat. This is a disaster. How could it be possible to promise demobilization to soldiers only to abandon them at the end? This is Maxim Nezmenov, who is the Ukrainian State Border Guard Service officer, who wrote this stuff on Facebook. You can't take away hope from soldiers. that they will return home. Someone is trying to destroy the country from the inside. Wow. See, I think they're finally on to everything. On the inside, they're starting to figure out somebody's trying to destroy the country from the inside. Ukraine has been in a state of martial law since the conflict with Russia broke out. Under martial law, Ukrainian conscripts are required to serve until the end of hostilities, with few exceptions. So they declared martial law in Ukraine. I didn't know this. This is pretty interesting. You don't hear this in the American media. So they declared martial law, and the conscripts can't quit until the hostilities are over. Wow. The commander-in-chief of Ukraine's armed forces insisted to lawmakers that this requirement remain in place. So the general commander, the big guy, Syrsky is his name, Alexander Syrsky, wants this to stay in place. Thursday's bill includes a raft of measures aimed at bolstering military recruitment. It requires all Ukrainian citizens living abroad to upload their personal information to a recruitment database. Mandates that all citizens aged between 18 and 60 carry military registration documents and bans military service evaders from driving. Talk about a wacky draft, huh? And this, again, this is a country that cares about humanity and civil rights and just you living your life. The bill also requires individuals previously deemed unfit for service due to disabilities to be reevaluated for enlistment, and introduces a 3-month period of mandatory military service for citizens under 24. Wow. So 3 months, but that's not going to be enough time. But still, the bill will now be sent to the desk of Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to be signed into law. Earlier this month, Zelensky, at the insistence of some Western backers, signed a controversial law lowering the military conscription age to 25 from 27. So thanks to some Western backers, hey, can you lower that age a little bit more? And here's the punchline. Ukraine has lost more than 440,000 troops since February of 2022, according to figures published last month by the Russian Defense Ministry. In an update last week, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu put the Ukrainian military's losses since January at more than 80,000 men. So let's just, hey, America, keep sending money to Ukraine, because what you're doing is you're killing Ukrainians. You're not going to hear that on the news. The more money you send to Ukraine, the more dead Ukrainians you create. So everybody's got the little Ukrainian flag in their profile picture still to this day. Maybe they've got the Ukrainian flag, maybe got the Israeli flag, maybe they got all kinds of flags, maybe got the rainbow flag in there, because those are the important flags, right? So you support all of that stuff, and because you're supporting that stuff, people are dying. 440,000, because it's like a meat grinder. You just keep putting people in the meat grinder. You're trying to defeat Russia. Russia does not like the idea that Ukraine might be part of NATO. And then you got Tony blinking, winking, and nod. He's over there telling them, don't worry, we're going to get you into NATO. And what's that going to do for World War III? That's going to escalate it even more. So anyway, people, just figured I'd update you on some important thing that nobody's talking about. Also, as a side note, O.J. Simpson died. Didn't know if people had heard that. I'm sure they've heard it. One of the most divisive moments in our country is when he didn't kill his wife, Nicole, and he was found not guilty. And, the tragedy of all of that is I don't think we'll ever find the real killer, right? So that's really sad, because OJ, he said he was going to do everything he could to find the real killer. Now he's not here to do that. So anyway, folks, that's the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And yes, I'm kind of moving back toward my more independent, not like everybody else way of thinking. Um, I had hoped that I might be able to somehow schmooze with the establishment and at least get a few things that I wanted out of life. But I've realized that you can't fix things with the current political system that we're in here in the United States. Work locally, work at the state level, work in your town, work in your HOA. I don't know. Just work as close to where you live as possible, because national politics and geopolitics is it's a complete mess. It's a waste of time almost. And this is the least important presidential election of my lifetime. I'll keep saying it. Um, I, I don't see anything. I know the people on either side. You need to keep Trump out. You need to make sure that Trump doesn't win. And on the other side, we can't have one more second of Biden. No, I want a new system. I don't want this system. I want a new way of doing things where the people actually have a say. And this isn't just some sort of tribal thing that we do every 4 years and for Congress every 2 years. Congress has become irrelevant, by the way, except that they do write checks to Ukraine. So that's very important. And for those of you who don't like the conflict in the Middle East, they write bigger checks to Israel. So again, I don't think any checks should be written to any foreign countries until we get our own country. Look, you don't spend money when your balance is negative 34 trillion. You can't do that. The check would bounce, right? If you were doing it from home. I mean, so I don't know. How do we do this? How do we spend money that we don't have? How are we going to balance that budget and bring money back into the treasury? Well, I don't have answers to that. And so this is the frustration of the political system that we're currently mired in. And, it's not going to get any better. You think Trump's going to save us? You want to vote for Trump? Make yourself feel good? You want to take the vaccine? Make yourself feel good? Some similarities there. Hey, take this. You'll have to take it again and again and again and again. And every time you take it, it loses a little bit of its efficacy, right? Or did it have any to begin with, right? This is whoever you put in for president. If you're voting against somebody, that's not voting for anything, right? That's just to keep the other guy out. And that's where we're at. That's how they've manipulated the entire system. We vote to keep the other guy out. We don't want that guy. We don't even like the guy we're voting for, but we're going to vote for him so the other guy doesn't win. That's just great. All right, people. Your money's being wasted, of course, in Ukraine. You already knew that, but maybe we should start to kind of push back and tell others about this. 440,000 troops dead, and I don't know how many billions spent. That's not a very good return on investment. If you're one of those people that wants to run around the world and do good and be the superpower, well, our superpower powers have really been reduced, and we're spending money that is just basically going down a black hole. So that's not superpower. That's stupid power.